structure was halfway formed when a champagne glass shattered. Crystal exploding across mahogany. Liquid spraying contracts worth $300 million. 12 men in $1,000 suits jerking back from the table. And the waitress who'd thrown the glass, standing there with her hands shaking and her voice steady, saying one word. Stop. Luca's head snapped up. Fury immediate. Absolute. This was the most important deal of his career. Signing over the East Side territories to his oldest friend. His most trusted partner. Marco Santini. 20 years of friendship. 10 years of working together. This merger would make them unstoppable. Would unite two organizations into an empire that controlled half the city. And this nobody, this woman in a server's uniform, had just destroyed the moment. She'd been serving refreshments for an hour. Invisible, moving through the private dining room like a ghost. Pouring water, delivering appetizers, refilling coffee. Playing the role she perfected over 5 years of waitressing in upscale restaurants where powerful men made deals they didn't want witnesses to remember. She had a gift for becoming forgettable, for blending into expensive wallpaper, for existing without being seen. Until 30 seconds ago, when she'd looked at the contract, really looked, saw something that made her blood run cold, made her act without thinking, made her commit career suicide by interrupting a mafia boss mid-signature. Lucas stood, 6'4" of controlled rage in a suit that cost more than her car. His voice was quiet, deadly. You have 5 seconds to explain why you just destroyed a $50,000 bottle of champagne and interrupted the most important business deal of my life. Then you're fired. Then you're arrested. Then, depending on my mood, you might just disappear. Before we continue, I need you to understand something. Drop your city's insane save you've ever seen. This waitress just interrupted a mafia deal. Could get herself killed. But what she noticed, what she's about to reveal, it's going to save this man's entire empire. Really wild. You need to see what happens next. Let's go. Nina Castellano stood her ground even though every instinct screamed to run. Even though Luca Moretti's eyes promised violence. Even though the 12 men around the table were reaching for weapons she couldn't see but knew were there. The contract. She pointed at the documents spread across the table. The signature witness. She stabbed her finger at a name on the second page. That's not Anthony Ricci. Luca's expression didn't change. His lawyer, Anthony Ricci, had been witnessing Moretti family contracts for 15 years. Of course it was him. The man was standing right there. Gray hair, expensive suit, wire-rimmed glasses. Same person who'd arrived an hour ago. Same person who'd reviewed every document. Same person who was staring at Nina like she'd lost her mind. Marco Santini laughed. Sharp, dismissive. Luca, your waitress, is having some kind of episode. Should we call security or just... Nina cut him off. Her voice was stronger now. Look at his hands. His left hand specifically. Anthony Ricci broke his ring finger in a skiing accident 3 years ago. It healed wrong. Bends an angle. I've seen him here dozens of times. Always noticed because my father's finger was broken the same way. This man's hands are perfect. Both of them. He's not Anthony Ricci. The room went silent. Luca's expression shifted. From rage to calculation in seconds. He looked at the man claiming to be his lawyer. Looked at the hands. Professional. Unmarked. Fingers that bent normally. The man's face went pale. Started backing toward the door. Luca's security materialized. 2 men who'd been standing outside. Blocking the exit. Grabbing the fake lawyer. Slamming him against the wall. Searching him. Finding a wire. Recording equipment. A phone with an active call. Someone had been listening to everything. Recording every word. Documenting the entire deal. Luca's voice was ice. Who are you? Who sent you? Where's my real lawyer? The man tried to resist. One of the security guards hit him. Not hard. Just enough. The man's resolve cracked. Federal agent. Anthony Ricci is alive. In protective custody. We needed the signing to happen. Needed evidence of a merger. Needed Moretti and Santini on record finalizing the deal. Would have brought down both organizations. Marco Santini moved fast. Pulling a gun, but not pointing it at the federal agent. Pointing it at Luca. The betrayal was immediate. Obvious. Marco had set this up. had arranged for the fake lawyer, had orchestrated the entire trap. Luca's face showed shock. Hurt. 20 years of friendship dissolving in seconds. Marco's smile was cold. You were always too trusting, too sentimental. This deal was supposed to destroy you. Sign over your territories. Get arrested for racketeering. Leave everything to me. Clean, legal, final. But your waitress. He glared at Nina. Your nobody waitress just destroyed months of planning. The gun was still pointed at Luca. Marco's finger on the trigger. The room held its breath. Nina didn't think. Grabbed the nearest thing. A wine bottle. Heavy. Full. Threw it at Marco's head. Her aim was terrible. The bottle missed by a foot. But the distraction was enough. Luca's security moved. Disarmed Marco. Slammed him down. Restrained him. The federal agent tried to run. Got tackled. Both men on the floor. Both threats neutralized. The signing that would have destroyed Luca Moretti's empire stopped by a waitress with a good memory and bad aim. Luca turned to Nina. His expression was unreadable. You just saved my life. My organization. Everything I've built. His voice held something between gratitude and suspicion. Why? Why did you notice? Why did you care? Why risk yourself for someone you don't know? Nina's answer was honest. Because I've spent 5 years learning to read people, learning to notice details, learning to see threats before they materialize. Had to. Survival skill from a childhood where missing warning signs meant pain. My father was. She stopped. Couldn't finish. Didn't need to. Luca understood. Saw the history in her eyes. The trauma that had sharpened her instincts. That had made her hyper-aware. That had taught her to catalog faces and hands and inconsistencies because not noticing meant danger. She'd saved him because she'd been trained by violence to see what others missed. Police sirens approaching. Someone had called them. Probably the federal agent's backup. Luca made decisions fast. His security dragging Marco and the agent toward a back exit. Evidence being gathered. The scene being controlled. He looked at Nina. You need to leave. Now. Before police arrive. Before this becomes complicated. Before your involvement creates problems. She started to go. He stopped her. Wait. What's your name? Real name. Not whatever fake identity you use for tax forms. Nina Castellano. She gave it without hesitation. Luca's eyes narrowed. Castellano. Like the Castellano family. The organization his family had destroyed 10 years ago. The enemies who'd sworn revenge. The ghosts that should have been dead. He didn't finish. Didn't need to. Nina nodded. Daughter of Michael Castellano. Your family killed my father. Destroyed my family's organization. Left me with nothing. I've been working here for 2 years. Waiting for an opportunity. For leverage. For revenge. The admission was suicide. Was signing her own death warrant. But she was done hiding. Done pretending. Done being invisible. Then why save me? Luca's question held genuine confusion. Why stop, Marco? Why not let me sign? Let me get arrested. Let the feds destroy what your family couldn't. Nina's answer was simple. Because revenge through someone else's hands isn't revenge. It's just opportunism. If I'm going to destroy you, it'll be because I earned it. Because I was smart enough. Strong enough. Better than you. Not because I let a traitor and a fed do my work. Her honesty was startling. Refreshing. Dangerous. Luca studied her face. Saw determination. Saw pride. Saw someone who'd been broken and rebuilt herself into something harder. Something that survived. You're either the stupidest person I've ever met or the smartest. Haven't decided which. Nina shrugged. Neither have I. The sirens were closer now. He gestured toward the back exit. Go. Disappear. I'll find you later. We're going to have a much longer conversation. About your father. About revenge. About why you're really here. She turned to leave. His voice stopped her. Nina, thank you. For the save. Even if your motives are complicated. The words were genuine. Unexpected. She nodded. Left through the back. Emerged into an alley. Heard shouting inside. Police entering. Chaos erupting. She just saved the man she'd sworn to destroy. Had revealed her identity. Had admitted to planning revenge. And somehow, impossibly, she was walking away. Alive. Free. More confused than she'd been in years. Her phone buzzed 2 hours later. Unknown number. Text message. Tomorrow. Noon. The address that followed was a warehouse. Neutral territory. The message was clear. Luca wanted answers. Wanted to understand who she was. What she wanted. Why she'd saved him. She should run. Should disappear. Should get as far from him as possible. But running meant admitting defeat. Meant abandoning the revenge she'd planned for a decade. Meant letting fear dictate choices. She texted back, "I'll be there." The response was immediate. "Come alone. Come unarmed. Come ready to tell the truth. Or don't come at all." Nina stared at her phone. At the ultimatum. At the choice she was being given. Truth or nothing. Honesty or death. She'd spent 10 years hiding. 10 years planning. 10 years pretending to be someone she wasn't. Maybe it was time to stop. Maybe it was time to face Luca Moretti as herself. As Nina Castellano. As the daughter of the man he destroyed. As the woman who just saved his life. As someone who had no idea what came next, but was done running from it. She set her alarm for 11. Would give herself time to prepare. To decide what truth looked like. To figure out if revenge was still possible or if saving him had changed everything. Sleep didn't come. Just lay in bed, replaying the moment. The shattered glass. The fake lawyer. Marco's betrayal. Luca's gratitude. Her confession. The impossibility of what happened and what might happen tomorrow. The warehouse was abandoned. Or supposed to be. Nina arrived at 11:55. 5 minutes early. Cautious. Checking sightlines. Escape routes. Habits from a childhood where ambushes were common. Where trust was currency you couldn't afford. The building looked empty. Felt occupied. She entered through the front. No point pretending this wasn't a trap if it was one. Lucas stood in the center. Alone. No security visible. No weapons drawn. Just him in a different suit looking at her, like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. "You came." His voice carried surprise. "Thought you might run." Nina closed the distance between them. "Stopped 10 feet away. Running would have been smarter. But I'm tired of being smart. Tired of hiding. Tired of pretending to be someone I'm not. So here I am. Nina Castellano, daughter of Michael Castellano, the man your family destroyed. Tell me what happens now." Lucas studied her. Really looked. Not at the waitress uniform she'd worn yesterday. At the woman standing in jeans and a jacket that hid how thin she was. How much she'd sacrificed. How hard survival had been. "I've spent the night researching you. Digging into your past. Found everything. Your father was my father's enemy. They went to war. Your family lost. Your father died. Your mother disappeared. You were 15. Vanished into foster care. Changed your name twice. Worked under the table. Stayed invisible. Built a life from nothing." The recitation of her history should have felt invasive. Felt like understanding instead. He'd done his homework. Knew her story. Knew what she'd survived. "And you've been working at that restaurant for 2 years." He continued. "Watching me. Learning my patterns. Planning something. Revenge, presumably. Then yesterday you saved me. Destroyed your own plan. Why?" Nina's answer was complicated. Honest. "Because watching Marco betray, you reminded me of my father. Reminded me of how he was betrayed by his own lieutenant. How trust became a weapon. How the people closest to you are often the most dangerous. I've spent 10 years hating you. Hating your family. Planning to destroy everything you built. But seeing Marco's betrayal. Seeing you about to lose everything the way my father did. I couldn't let happen. Couldn't let someone else do what I've been planning." Sounds insane when I say it out loud. Luca's expression shifted. Not quite a smile. Not quite trust. But something. "You saved me to preserve your own revenge. That's either psychotic or admirably committed." Nina shrugged. "Probably both. My therapist would have a field day if I could afford therapy." Luca did smile then. Brief. Genuine. "I like you. You're honest about being dishonest. Clear about your motives. That's rare. Most people pretend. Lie. Hide what they want. You just said you've been planning to destroy me for a decade, then save my life. That's refreshing." The warehouse door exploded open. 6 men storming in. Armed. Moving fast. Nina's instincts kicked and immediately. Drop. She hit the ground. Luca was already moving, drawing a weapon from somewhere. His security materializing from shadows. The abandoned warehouse had never been empty. Gunfire erupted. Short. Controlled bursts. Professional. Over in 30 seconds. The attacker's dead or dying. Luca's security checking bodies. Securing perimeter. Making sure no one else was coming. Luca helped Nina up. His hands steady. Warm. You okay? She nodded. Couldn't speak. Adrenaline crashing. That was Marco's people. Luca explained calmly. Like ambushes were normal. Like this was Tuesday. He's trying to tie up loose ends. You ruined his plan. Made him look weak. Made him vulnerable. Now he wants you dead. Wants me dead. Wants to salvage what he can from the disaster. Nina's voice came back. Great. So, saving you means I have a target on my back. Luca's response was immediate. You've had a target on your back since you entered that room yesterday. Since you revealed yourself as a Castellano. Since you saved me. Marco's just the most immediate threat. They left the warehouse. Luca's security forming a protective circle. Moving her to an armored SUV. Taking her somewhere safe. His words. She didn't feel safe. Felt trapped. Felt like she'd traded one danger for another. The SUV drove through the city. Expensive neighborhoods. Gated communities. Pulled up to a building that looked like a fortress disguised as luxury apartments. Luca's headquarters. His home. His empire's nerve center. Inside was overwhelming. Security. Staff. Technology. Wealth beyond anything Nina had experienced. He led her to an office. Top floor. Windows overlooking the city. Sat behind a desk that probably cost more than her annual salary. You can't go back to your apartment. Can't go back to the restaurant. Marco knows where you live. Where you work. Has people watching. Waiting. You're not safe alone. Nina's anger flared. So what? I'm your prisoner now. Saved your life and get locked in a tower. Luca's response was calm. You're under my protection. There's a difference. You can leave anytime. But leaving means facing Marco alone. Means facing whoever else wants revenge on the Castellano family. Means survival without resources. Without backup. Without allies. He was right. Nina hated that he was right. I don't want to owe you. Don't want to be in debt. Don't want protection that comes with strings. Luca leaned forward. Then don't. Work for me. Use your skills. Your observations. Your ability to read people. Become part of my organization. Get paid. Build resources. Learn the business. Eventually you'll be strong enough to destroy me properly. Or you'll decide revenge isn't worth it. Either way, you'll have chosen. Have agency. Have power. The offer was unexpected. Generous. Suspicious. Why would you help me get strong enough to hurt you? Luca's smile was sharp. Because I don't think you will. I think once you understand what really happened between our families, once you see the full picture, you'll realize your father wasn't innocent, wasn't a victim, was as ruthless as mine, maybe more so, and revenge becomes complicated when everyone's guilty. Nina wanted to argue, wanted to defend her father, but she'd been 15 when he died, hadn't known his business, hadn't seen his methods, had only memories of a man who'd been kind to her, who'd kept his violence separate from their home, who'd made her believe he was good despite evidence otherwise. Maybe Luca was right. Maybe the truth was complicated. Maybe everyone was guilty. She agreed. Not because she trusted him. Because she had no better options. Because Marco's people were hunting her. Because invisibility had stopped being protection. I'll work for you. Learn your business. But I'm not giving up revenge. I'm just postponing it until I understand what I'm avenging. Luca extended his hand. Deal. They shook. His grip was firm. Professional. Felt like sealing a pact with the devil. Felt like the smartest decision she'd made in years. Both things were probably true. The next 6 weeks were intensive. Luca assigned her to Nico, his second in command since Marco's betrayal. Nico was skeptical, hostile, didn't trust Nina, didn't understand why Luca was bringing a Castellano into the organization. But he followed orders, taught her the structure, the operations, the legitimate businesses that fronted for illegal ones, the network of loyalty and fear that held everything together. Nina absorbed everything, asked questions, made observations, started noticing patterns, inefficiencies, vulnerabilities, started speaking up in meetings, pointing out things others missed. A supplier whose numbers didn't match his deliveries, a lieutenant whose lifestyle exceeded his salary, a business partner whose body language suggested deception. She was right every time. Her observations led to discoveries, to catching thieves, to preventing problems, to saving money and lives. Luca started bringing her to meetings. Important ones, high-stakes negotiations, deals with dangerous people. She'd sit quietly, observe, then afterward give him her assessment. Tell him who was lying, who was scared, who was planning betrayal. Her accuracy was uncanny, disturbing, valuable. Within a month, she'd become indispensable. Within 2 months, Luca's people stopped questioning her presence, started treating her as family, as someone who belonged. She was becoming part of something, building connections, finding purpose, and simultaneously learning things about her father, about the war between families, about who'd really started it, about who'd been more brutal. The truth was messy, complicated, made revenge feel less clear, less justified, less possible. Lucas started spending more time with her. Not just business, personal time, dinners, conversations, learning about each other beyond the roles they played. He told her about growing up in this life, about being groomed to lead, about the weight of legacy, about wanting something different but not knowing how to get it. She told him about foster care, about learning to disappear, about working jobs where being forgettable was survival, about building a life from nothing and being proud of that, even when it was hard. They were opposites, enemy families, different worlds, but somehow the conversations felt easy, natural, like they'd known each other longer than weeks, like trust was building despite every reason it shouldn't. The attraction was inevitable, started with respect, with admiration, with recognition that they were both survivors, both shaped by violence, both trying to be more than their circumstances allowed. Nina fought it, told herself he was the enemy, was the man whose family destroyed hers, was someone she should hate not want. But her body didn't care about logic. Noticed when he entered a room, responded to his voice, wanted his attention, wanted him in ways that felt dangerous and right simultaneously. Luca felt it too. She could tell, could read it in the way he looked at her, the way he found excuses to be near, the way his hand would brush hers and linger. Neither acknowledged it, neither acted on it. Both pretended the tension wasn't building, wasn't becoming unbearable, wasn't inevitable. Marco made his move 2 months after the failed signing. Planted a bomb in one of Luca's legitimate businesses. Nightclub, popular, packed on a Saturday night. Nina was there, doing security walkthroughs, learning that aspect of operations. She noticed something. Maintenance man who didn't match the staff photos, carrying a bag that looked too heavy, moving too deliberately. She followed him, saw him enter the mechanical room, confronted him. He pulled a knife. She ran, screaming for evacuation, for everyone to get out. Security moved fast, cleared the building, found the bomb, disarmed it with minutes to spare. The maintenance man was Marco's cousin, sang like a bird under interrogation, revealed Marco's location, his plans, his remaining allies. Luca moved immediately, decisively, ended Marco permanently, the betrayer who'd tried to destroy him, who'd put Nina in danger, who'd threatened innocent people. Marco's death was brutal, public, a message: betray the Moretti family and die screaming. Nina should have been horrified, should have seen Luca's brutality and remembered why she'd planned revenge. Instead, she felt safe, felt protected, felt like he'd avenged not just his own betrayal, but hers too. The attack had been aimed at her as much as him. Marco had wanted her dead for ruining his plans. Luca had made sure that would never happen, had eliminated the threat, had proven protection wasn't just words, was action, was violence on her behalf. She found him after, in his office, blood still on his knuckles. Marco's blood, probably. She should have been repulsed, should have walked away. Instead, she kissed him. Hard, desperate, full of adrenaline and relief, and one she'd been suppressing for weeks. Luca kissed back. No hesitation, no gentleness, just need and heat and the release of tension that had been building since the warehouse, since the signing, since she'd saved his life and he'd offered her one in return. They didn't talk about it after, didn't label it, didn't make it official, just existed in this space where they were partners, were something more, were building something neither could name, but both needed. Her revenge plan was dust. Forgotten. Impossible now that she knew him. Now that she'd seen who he really was. Not a monster. Not innocent either. Just a man trying to survive in a world that demanded violence. Just like her father had been. Just like she was becoming. The Castellano Moretti War was over. Ended not with blood, but with understanding. With Nina choosing to be part of his world instead of destroying it. With Luca giving her the power to hurt him and trusting she wouldn't. With both of them finding something unexpected. Something worth more than revenge. Something that looked like redemption. The bullet missed Nina's head by 3 inches. Shattered the office window behind her. Glass exploding inward. She dropped. Pure instinct. Training Luca's people had drilled into her. Second shot hit where she'd been standing. Third shot went wide. Sniper. Rooftop across the street. Professional. Expensive. Someone wanted her dead badly enough to hire quality. Luca was on her instantly, covering her body with his. Security flooding the office. Shutting down the building. Locking everything. The sniper was gone before they could respond. Ghost. Professional. Left no trace except 3 bullet holes and a message that Nina Castellano was marked. Luca's face was white. Rage and fear mixing. He pulled at her feet. Checked her for injuries. His hands shaking slightly. First time she'd seen him rattled. You're okay. Tell me you're okay. She nodded. Couldn't speak yet. Adrenaline stealing her voice. Throat tight with the realization that someone had just tried to kill her. That 3 inches had separated life from death. That her past had finally caught up. Nico burst in. Boss, we have a problem. Multiple problems. That sniper wasn't working alone. We got chatter. 3 different contracts on her. Marco's remaining people want revenge for his death. The Castellano family remnants want her dead for betraying her father's name. And someone new. Someone we don't have intelligence on. Offering serious money for her elimination. This isn't random. This is coordinated. Someone's organizing multiple groups to converge on her simultaneously. Luca's expression hardened. Find out who. Find out how they're coordinating. Find out everything. And get Nina to the safe house. Now, Nina found her voice. No safe house. If I hide, they'll just wait. Pick me off when I emerge. Better to figure out who's behind this and end it. Luca started to argue. She cut him off. I've been running for 10 years. Done running. Time to fight. His jaw clenched. Recognized the determination. The refusal to be protected into helplessness. Fine. But you don't leave this building without a full security team. You don't go anywhere I can't track. You don't take risks. Understood. They spent the next 2 days investigating. Pulling information. Calling in favors. Bribing sources. The picture that emerged was worse than expected. Marco's people were predictable. Standard revenge. Easy to handle. The Castellano remnants were more complicated. Her father's old organization had fractured after his death. Scattered. But some remained loyal. Saw her as a traitor for joining the Morettis. For sleeping with the enemy. For betraying everything Michael Castellano had stood for. They wanted her dead as a matter of honor. Of principle. That threat was manageable. Angry but not organized. The third group was the problem. Unknown. Well-funded. Professional. Connected to multiple crime families. Someone with reach. With resources. With motivation Nina couldn't identify. Luca's investigators dug deeper. Found a connection. A name that made everything worse. Vincent Romano. Nina's blood went cold. She knew that name. Knew it from before. From a life she'd tried to forget. Luca saw her reaction. Who is he? Why does his name terrify you? Nina sat down. Heavy. The weight of her past crushing her. Vincent Romano was my mother's boyfriend. After my father died. After everything fell apart. She was desperate. Vulnerable. He took advantage. Moved in. Took control. Started using her. Using me. I was 16. He was. She stopped. Couldn't say it. Luca's expression went dark. Understanding without details. What happened? Nina forced the words out. He tried to sell me. Human trafficking. Had a buyer lined up. I ran. Took my mother's emergency money. Disappeared. Changed my name. Became invisible. Thought I'd escaped. Thought he'd forgotten. But if he's found me, if he knows I'm with you. She looked at Luca. He'll want revenge for the money I cost him. for embarrassing him, for existing, and he'll want to hurt you through me. Classic strategy. Target someone's weakness. Vincent's smart, connected, patient. This is bad. Luca's response was immediate. He's dead. I'll kill him personally. Nina shook her head. He's not that easy. He's embedded in multiple organizations. Protected, connected. You can't just eliminate him without starting wars you're not ready for. He spent years building alliances, building power. He's untouchable. Luca's smile was cold. Nobody's untouchable. But fine. We do this smart. We figure out his plan. We counter it. We eliminate him without it blowing back. You know him. Know how he thinks. Help me end him. Nina agreed. Not because she wanted revenge. Because Vincent wouldn't stop. Would keep coming. Would escalate. Would eventually succeed unless they moved first. She pulled up everything she remembered. His patterns. His methods. His weaknesses. Started building a profile. Started seeing the larger picture. Vincent wasn't just targeting her. Was using her as leverage against Luca. Was coordinating with 3 other families. Planning something bigger. A coordinated assault on the Moretti organization. Nina was the excuse. The catalyst. But the real goal was destroying Luca. Taking his territories. Absorbing his operations. The failed signing with Marco had weakened him. Created opportunity. Vincent was capitalizing. Using Nina's presence as justification. Claiming Luca harboring a Castellano was an insult to all the families who'd fought that war. Was rallying support. Building a coalition. Planning to move soon. Nina saw it all. Connections others missed. Patterns in the intelligence. She laid it out for Luca. Showed him the conspiracy. The scope. The danger. He listened. Absorbed. Understood. You just saved me again. If Vincent had moved without us knowing. If we hadn't seen this coming. He would have destroyed everything. They needed a counter strategy. Needed to break the coalition. Needed to isolate Vincent. Make him vulnerable. Nina had an idea. Dangerous. Risky. Used herself as bait. She explained it to Luca. His immediate response was no. Absolutely not. You're not putting yourself in danger. Not for me. Not for this. She pushed back. I'm already in danger. Already a target. Better to use that. To control it. To make it work for us. Luca's protectiveness was becoming possessiveness. Becoming control. She recognized it. Had seen it before. With Marcus. With Vincent. With every man who'd tried to own her. I'm not yours to protect. Not yours to control. I'm choosing this. Choosing to fight. You can help or you can watch, but you can't stop me. The words were harsh. Necessary. Drew a line. Luca processed them. Saw the truth. Saw her refusing to be diminished. To be protected into helplessness. Nodded slowly. Tell me the plan. Nina's plan was simple. Brutal. Effective. She'd contact Vincent. Agree to meet. Claim she wanted to negotiate. To buy her life. To offer Luca's secrets in exchange for safety. Vincent would take the meeting. Wouldn't be able to resist. Would see it as vindication. As her finally breaking. As opportunity to humiliate her before killing her. The meeting would be trapped. Luca's people everywhere. Recording everything. Documenting Vincent's conspiracy. His coordination with other families. His plans. Then they'd use that evidence to break the coalition. To show the other families they were being used. That Vincent's vendetta was personal, not principled. That supporting him meant war with the Morettis over nothing. Most would back down. Would choose peace over Vincent's revenge. Isolating him. Making him vulnerable. Then Luca could move. Could eliminate Vincent without consequences. Without starting wars. Nina would be the key. Would be the bait that made it possible. Luca hated it. Hated her being exposed. Hated the risk. But recognized the logic. Recognized that sometimes the best defense was offense. That waiting for Vincent to move meant fighting on his terms. That Nina's plan flipped the script. Made them hunters instead of prey. He agreed. With conditions. Full security team. Weapons. Backup plans. Exit strategies. Everything to minimize risk. Nina accepted. Not because she needed permission. Because the conditions were smart. Were survival. Were things she'd already planned. They spent 3 days preparing. Coordinating. Making sure every variable was controlled. Every contingency planned. Nina called Vincent. His voice on the phone made her skin crawl, made every memory resurface. But she kept her voice steady, played desperate, played broken, played exactly what he wanted to hear. He agreed to meet. 48 hours. Neutral location. Come alone. She agreed. Both of them lying. Both knowing it was a trap. Racing to see whose trap closed first. The meeting was set at an abandoned factory. Cliché, but practical. Multiple entry points. Easy to secure. Easy to surveil. Nina arrived exactly on time. Dressed simply. No visible weapons. Wire hidden so well even she barely felt it. Vincent was waiting. Looked older than she remembered. Harder. 10 years had weathered him. Made him crueler. He smiled seeing her. That same predatory smile from her nightmares. Nina Castellano. Or should I say Nina, whatever you're calling yourself now. You've caused me considerable trouble. Considerable expense. Time to settle accounts. Nina played her role. Voice shaking slightly. I just want this to end. I want to be left alone. Tell me what you want. Tell me how to buy my life. Vincent's laugh was ugly. Your life isn't for sale, but your cooperation is. Tell me everything about Moretti's organization, his operations, his weaknesses. Help me destroy him. Then maybe I let you live. Maybe. Nina gave him information. Carefully selected. Mix of truth and lies. Enough to seem genuine. Enough to keep him talking. To keep him revealing his plans. His coordination with other families. His timeline. His methods. Every word recorded. Every confession documented. Vincent talked freely. Confidently. Believed he'd won. Believed Nina was broken. Believed Luca would never find this location. Never interrupt. Never save her. He was wrong on all counts. Luca's security was everywhere. In the walls. In the rafters. Surrounding the building. Waiting for the signal. Nina gave it. Simple phrase. Casual. Predetermined. I understand now. The building erupted. Doors slamming open. Security flooding in. Vincent's people drawing weapons. Brief firefight. Professional. Controlled. Over in seconds. Vincent alive. Restrained. His people dead or captured. Luca walked in. Looked at Vincent with something beyond rage. Beyond hatred. Something cold. Final. You touch what's mine. Try to hurt her. Try to use her. That requires consequences. Vincent tried to negotiate. Tried to threaten. Tried to invoke alliances. None of it mattered. Luca had everything recorded. Had Vincent's conspiracy documented. Had evidence to share with every family Vincent had tried to manipulate. The coalition would collapse. The families would distance themselves. Vincent would die alone. Unmourned. Forgotten. Luca turned to Nina. You okay? Did he hurt you? She shook her head. I'm fine. Got what we needed. Got everything. Luca looked at her with something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Something beyond respect. Beyond attraction. Something that looked like love. Felt like it. Terrified her. You're extraordinary. You know that. You just dismantled a conspiracy. Saved my organization. Put yourself in danger to protect me. Why? Why risk yourself like this? Nina's answer was honest. Simple. Terrifying. Because I love you. Said it before she could stop herself. Before fear could silence her. Before logic could intervene. The words hung between them. Changed everything. Made vulnerable what had been safely undefined. Luca closed the distance. Kissed her. Not gentle. Not careful. Desperate. Claiming. Full of everything he'd been holding back. I love you too. Been trying not to. Been failing completely. You're Castellano. I'm a Moretti. This should be impossible. Should be betrayal. Should be wrong. But it's not. It's the only thing that makes sense. Nina kissed him back. Poured everything into it. Relief. Want. Fear. Hope. Love that shouldn't exist, but did anyway. They broke apart. Both breathing hard. Both aware of the audience. Of Vincent watching. Of security pretending not to notice. Luca gestured to his people. Take Vincent to the warehouse. The one we use for permanent problems. Make sure he understands exactly how permanent this is. Then start distributing the recordings. Every family that was involved. Show them what Vincent really planned. Break the coalition. In this, Nina and Luca left together. Rode back to headquarters in silence. Too much had happened. Too much had been said. Too much had changed. Inside his office. Door closed. Privacy finally. They looked at each other. Really looked. Seeing everything. The danger they'd survived. The conspiracy they dismantled. The love they'd admitted. The future that was suddenly possible. Lucas spoke first. This won't be easy. Our families. Our histories. People will question. Will judge. Will try to use it against us. Nina nodded. I know. Don't care. Done letting history dictate present. Done letting other people's wars define me. Choose you. Choose this. Choose us. Even knowing it's complicated. Even knowing it'll be hard. Luca pulled her close. Then marry me. Make it official. Make it permanent. Make it impossible for anyone to separate us. The proposal was sudden. Impulsive. Perfect. Nina didn't hesitate. Yes. Absolutely yes. They sealed it with a kiss. With promises. With the understanding that they'd fight together. Would face whatever came. Would build something new from the ashes of old wars. Would prove love was stronger than legacy. Then revenge. Then everything that should have kept them apart. Vincent Romano died slowly. Screaming. In a warehouse where screams meant nothing. Where soundproofing and isolation created a space for consequences. Luca didn't participate. Didn't watch. Left it to professionals who understood that some deaths needed to be educational. Needed to send messages. Needed to make examples. Nina didn't ask for details. Didn't want them. Just needed to know Vincent was gone. That the monster from her past couldn't hurt her anymore. Couldn't sell her. Couldn't use her. Couldn't exist. 3 days after Vincent's death, the other families received packages. Recordings. Documents. Evidence of Vincent's conspiracy. Of his manipulation. Of his lies about Nina being leverage when really he'd been using them. Using old grievances to mask personal vendetta. The coalition collapsed instantly. Families calling Luca to apologize. To distance themselves. To swear they'd been deceived. To promise peace. Crisis averted. War prevented. Empire secured. All because Nina had seen patterns. Had understood motivations. Had known how to trap a predator. Life normalized over the following weeks. Nina moved into Luca's penthouse officially. Not hiding anymore. Not pretending they weren't together. Staff adjusted. Organization accepted her. The Castellano joining the Morettis stopped being scandal. Became fact. Became normal. She continued working. Attending meetings. Offering insights. Catching deceptions. Becoming integral to operations. Luca relied on her judgment increasingly. Trusted her instincts. Valued her observations. She wasn't decoration. Wasn't trophy. Was partner. Was equal. Was building something real. They set a wedding date. Small ceremony. Just family. Just the people who mattered. No spectacle. No public display. Just vows that meant something. Just promises they'd keep. Just love that had started impossibly and become inevitable. 2 months after Vincent's death, Nina walked into Luca's office. Found him reviewing contracts. Preparation for a merger. Legitimate business this time. Expanding into real estate development. Clean money. Legal operations. Moving the family toward legitimacy. She glanced at the documents. Froze. Her blood running cold. Recognition hitting like electricity. Luca noticed immediately. What? What's wrong? Nina grabbed the contract. Studied it closely. The signatures. The witnesses. The terms. Her mind racing. Processing. Connecting dots others missed. This is a setup. Just like Marco's deal. Different method. Same goal. Someone's trying to trap you again. Luca's expression shifted instantly. From relaxed to alert. How? How do you know? Nina pointed at the witness signatures. This man, Robert Chun, he witnessed 3 other contracts you signed this year. All legitimate. All cleared. But look at the dates. She pulled up records on Luca's computer. Cross-referenced. The timing doesn't match. Robert Chun was supposedly in Hong Kong on 2 of these dates. Court records. Immigration stamps. He couldn't have been in 2 places simultaneously. Luca saw it immediately. Someone's been forging witness signatures. Been embedding false documentation in legitimate deals. Building a paper trail. Nina nodded. And this new merger. It's the culmination. Once you sign this, you'll technically have violated a dozen regulations. Fraudulent witnesses invalidate contracts. Make you criminally liable. Give prosecutors ammunition. gives rivals legal justification to move against you. This is sophisticated. Long term. Someone's been planning this for months. Maybe years. Luca called Nico immediately. Emergency meeting. Pull every contract from the last 2 years. Every deal. Every document. Check every signature. Every witness. Every detail. Find the forgeries. Find everyone involved. Find who's orchestrating this. The organization mobilized. Within hours, they had answers. 15 contracts, all with forged witness signatures, all leading back to one source. Someone inside, someone trusted, someone who'd been systematically compromising Luca's empire from within. The investigators' report identified the traitor. Anthony Ricci, the real one, not the federal agent who'd impersonated him. The actual lawyer who'd been witnessing Moretti contracts for 15 years, who'd been trusted implicitly, who'd been compromised somehow, turned against Luca, working for someone. They brought him in, not gently. Interrogation wasn't subtle. Anthony broke quickly, revealed everything. Marco had gotten to him years ago, before the signing, before the merger attempt, had been blackmailing him. Something about Anthony's daughter, about protection, about threats. Anthony had been forging signatures, creating vulnerabilities, building a case that could destroy Luca legally. Marco's death hadn't ended the plan, had just delayed it. Someone else had picked it up, had continued the strategy, had been waiting for the right moment, for this merger, for the final piece that would make everything collapse. Who? Luca's voice was ice. Who picked up Marco's plan? Who's been running this? Anthony's answer made everything worse. Isabella Moretti, your cousin. She wants control, wants to lead the family, sees you as obstacle, has been working with prosecutors, offering them you, offering evidence, offering everything they need to dismantle your organization legally. Then she steps in, takes over, appears legitimate, appears clean, becomes the Moretti the government can work with. The revelation hit hard. Family betrayal always did. Isabella had been at every major meeting, every negotiation, every deal, trusted, included, part of the inner circle, and secretly destroying everything from inside. Luca looked at Nina. How did you catch this? How did you see what my own security missed? Nina's answer was simple. Because I was looking. Because I remember what almost happened last time. Because I don't trust anyone completely. Because survival means paranoia. Means double-checking everything. Means assuming betrayal until proven otherwise. They had 48 hours before the merger was scheduled to close. Before Luca would have signed. Before the trap would have sprung. They used that time strategically. Gathered evidence against Isabella. Documented her communications with prosecutors. Her coordination with rivals. Her systematic undermining of Luca's operations. Built an airtight case. Then invited her to dinner. Family dinner. The penthouse. Private. Just the three of them. Isabella arrived confident, smiling, unsuspecting. Luca poured wine, made small talk, then laid out the evidence. Every document, every recording, every proof of her betrayal. Watched her face transform from confidence to shock, to fear, to rage. You ruined everything. She pointed at Nina. You Castellano bitch. You destroyed Marco's plan. You caught Vincent. Now this. You've been the problem from the beginning. Should have killed you at the signing. Should have eliminated you when I had the chance. The confession confirmed everything. Isabella had been Marco's partner, had been the one coordinating, had sent the sniper, had organized the coalition, had continued the conspiracy after Marco died, had been the architect of everything. Nina had been her obstacle, the variable that kept catching things, that kept seeing patterns, that kept saving Luca. Isabella's hatred was pure, focused, murderous. She lunged at Nina, drew a knife from somewhere. Fast, desperate. Luca moved faster, caught her wrist, twisted, disarmed her, slammed her against the wall. Hard enough to hurt, not hard enough to seriously injure. Isabella was family. Even betrayal didn't change that completely. You're done. Luca's voice was final, absolute. Out of the family, out of the city, out of my life. Take what you can carry. Leave everything else. You have 24 hours. After that, my people find you, and family won't protect you. Isabella started to argue. One look at Luca's face stopped her. She left, broken, defeated, finished. Nico handled the cleanup, restructured the organization, removed Isabella's people, verified every contract, every document, every deal, rebuilt legitimacy, made sure nothing compromised remained. The merger proceeded. Clean, legal, documented properly, real witnesses, real signatures, real legitimacy. Luca's empire emerged stronger, more careful, more paranoid, better protected, all because Nina had been paying attention, had refused to trust, had checked everything, had saved him again. Luca called a meeting. His entire leadership announced changes, announced new structure, announced Nina's official position. Consigliere, advisor, equal partner in decision-making. Her observations, her insights, her refusal to accept surface appearances had proven more valuable than anyone else's contributions. The organization accepted it, had already been treating her as family, as leadership. This just made it official, made it clear, made it undeniable. That evening they stood on the penthouse balcony, overlooking the city, the empire Luca controlled, that Nina had saved repeatedly, would continue protecting, would help build, would shape into something better, something legitimate, something that honored both their families' legacies without repeating their mistakes. Luca pulled her close. I've been thinking about the signing, the original one, where this all started. If you hadn't noticed that fake lawyer, if you hadn't thrown that glass, if you hadn't saved me, everything would be gone. I'd be dead or arrested or destroyed. The organization would have collapsed. Isabella and Marco would have won. My family's legacy would have ended. You saved all of it. Saved me. Nina rested her head against his chest. You saved me too. Gave me purpose. Gave me family. Gave me somewhere to belong. Someone to love who loves me back. We saved each other. That's what partners do. Luca turned her to face him. Serious. Intense. I need you to understand something. You're not just my wife. Not just my advisor. You're the reason any of this matters. The reason I want to build something legitimate. Something lasting. Something worthy. You see things clearly. See me clearly. Don't let me hide behind power or violence or legacy. Make me better. Make everything better. I love you for saving my empire. But I love you more for saving me from becoming my father. From being just another violent man building empires on blood. You're teaching me there's another way. Nina kissed him. Soft. Gentle. Full of everything they'd built. Everything they'd become. I love you for seeing me as more than a waitress. More than a Castellano. More than someone to protect or use or diminish. You made me powerful. Made me valuable. Made me believe I deserve this life. This love. This partnership. We're building something new. Something neither of our families could have imagined. Something better. They married the following month. Small ceremony. Just family. Just people who mattered. Nico as best man. Luca's mother crying. Nina's old friend Jenna as bridesmaid. The only person from her past she'd maintained contact with. The vows were simple, traditional, but the promises underneath were complex. We're about building empire together. About catching betrayals. About using observation and power to protect what they'd created. About love that started with one interruption. One moment of courage. One waitress refusing to let a signing destroy the man she'd eventually love. The reception was small, intimate. Music, dancing. Luca holding Nina close. Whispering in her ear. Thank you. For throwing that glass. For saving me. For staying. For loving me despite everything. Nina smiled. Thank you for seeing me. For valuing what I notice. For making me your equal instead of your possession. For building this with me instead of just protecting me. This is ours. Everything we create from here. Ours. 6 months later, they stood in the same restaurant. Same private dining room. Where it all started. Where Nina had thrown champagne. Where she'd noticed the fake lawyer. Where she'd saved Luca's empire. They'd rented it for an event. Legitimate business announcement. Moretti Development Corporation going public. Offering shares. Becoming transparent. Becoming legal. Becoming something Michael Castellano and Luca's father never imagined. Nina had designed a structure. Had created the model. Had figured out how to transition from criminal empire to legitimate business without losing power. without abandoning family, without betraying legacy. It was brilliant, revolutionary, would change how organized crime evolved, how families survived in modern world, how legacy transformed instead of died. Luca announced it to press, to investors, to the city, credited Nina completely. His partner, his advisor, his wife, the woman who'd saved him, who'd rebuilt him, who'd transformed everything. The cameras captured them together. Power couple, criminal royalty becoming legitimate dynasty. The American dream in complicated form. That night back at the penthouse, Nina found the original contract. The one from the signing. The one that would have destroyed everything. Had kept it, framed it, reminder of where they started, of what almost happened, of the moment that changed everything. She showed it to Luca. Look how close we came. How easily this could have ended differently. 3 seconds. That's how long between me noticing and you signing. 3 seconds between your destruction and your salvation. Between us never meeting and us building this. 3 seconds that changed everything. Luca looked at the contract, at the signature line where his pen had almost touched, at the fake witness signature Nina had caught, at the champagne stained sheet created. 3 seconds, and you chose to act, chose to risk your job, your safety, your anonymity, chose to save a stranger. Why? Why throw away your cover? Why reveal yourself? Why care what happened to me? Nina's answer was honest, true, simple, because I saw you about to lose everything. And something in me couldn't let that happen. Couldn't watch someone be destroyed by betrayal. Couldn't stay silent. Don't know if it was instinct or fate or just being too stubborn to let injustice happen. But I'm glad I did. Glad I threw that glass. Glad I saved you. Glad it led to this. To us. To everything we've built. They stood together looking at the framed contract. At the moment that started everything. The signing that never happened. The betrayal that got caught. The waitress who noticed. The boss who listened. The love that emerged from chaos. The empire that survived. The future they were building. One observation. One interruption. One woman refusing to let details slide. Changed everything. Saved everything. Created everything. Nina Castellano had walked into that room planning revenge. Had left it starting a revolution. Had transformed from invisible waitress to indispensable partner. Had proven that paying attention mattered. That details revealed truth. That observation was power. That love could emerge from the most unlikely circumstances. That sometimes saving someone's empire meant ruling it together. That partnership was stronger than possession. That trust built through crisis lasted forever. The Moretti Empire stood stronger than ever. Not because of violence, because of vigilance. Not because of fear, because of love. Not because of legacy, because of innovation. All because one woman noticed what everyone else missed. All because she chose to act. All because 3 seconds of courage created a lifetime of partnership. Nina Castellano threw a champagne glass and stopped a signing that would have destroyed everything. Luca Moretti listened to a waitress and saved his empire. Together, they proved that paying attention to details others miss can change everything. That interrupting at the right moment can save lives. That love emerges from the most unexpected places. That observation is power. That partnership built on trust and mutual respect creates something stronger than legacy or violence ever could. Sometimes the person serving drinks is actually serving justice. Sometimes the smallest detail reveals the biggest conspiracy. Sometimes saving someone's empire means ruling it together through unexpected love and equal partnership. Would you have interrupted a mafia boss's important deal to point out something wrong? Would you have risked everything to be insane? Share this with someone who believes in paying attention to details and taking risks for what's right. More stories of observation, courage, and unexpected